coordinators, welcome back to episode 3 of In Conversations with Qadikazi. I really do hope that you really enjoyed these two episodes that I've uploaded already. Please do engage with me on my social media platforms. I am Unasipo Qadikazi here with Facebook, and then on Instagram I am Unasipo underscore Uti, and also do follow me on my social media platform so that we get to grow as well. And yes, I'm gonna be doing it that you would like to see on the channel or rather on the podcast. And we're trying to grow together here. And I feel apparently with this growth that I am trying to create right here. So this is episode 3 of In Conversations with Qadikazi, and I am currently waiting for my guest to join me while I am still waiting for him. Yes, you heard right, it's a him, right? But I'm still waiting for him to join me. That's me again. For those who will be joining us for the first time, I apologize for my what's the thing for my quality, right? I did explain in the previous episode that we're still kind of like working towards getting planned like a laptop that can give us a better view, right? But for now, my guest is like kind of like he is showing me, hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I
You
can hear
can hear
you.
me right now. All right. All is well. We were trying to fix things here. On my side, there was no audio, but we fixed that right now. So this is the person that will be joining us today. And I know some of you don't know him. I'm so excited. Why are you giving me that look?
It's nice. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you do your thing in person.
Right? Oh, thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I haven't seen you in a while though. So
Yeah,
even
it's
though
not
this is
demanding in like a few
virtual,
years.
it kind of feels like I'm seeing you like I've never seen him. I don't know why I'm
Yeah,
saying.
almost for the first time.
Why are you making me excited?
I don't know. I don't know. I suppose it's my nation sound, I guess.
Well, I'm shouting, yeah. Anyways,
Mm.
and let me introduce my guest. This person that I'm currently sitting with right now is a big person as well. Okay. His name is Sanele Nongauza, and he is a sports presenter at True FM, right? But I can't believe how I take a sports presenter at True FM. So this is the reason why today we are sitting with him. We're trying to get to know Sanele Nongauza, but I'm and I get omnye umuntu onokwenza umsebenzi oncomekayo ekhaya to tell us about Sanele Nongauza and here. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome, the chosen king. I don't have a landing under the listening. I was hoping that I will find one so that I can have that. Because you want to write dramatic intros. So I needed something that will be dramatic to introduce you, but I don't have that as of now, right? But welcome to my channel. Welcome to my podcast. How are you?
It's a pleasure to be here. All I can say is that each day is a challenge. Each day presents its own challenges time and time again. Their lives you know, you have to learn to do things on guaco. You need to rely on yourself now, often be independent. So that process of being independent is a very tough one. But we take the challenges as they come. We move, as the saying goes, we move.
Yeah, it really sucks, to be an adult. It really sucks. I can't believe at some point we wanted to be adults and now we're here and we feel like, wow. But anyways, before we get into the interview, I want to know, do you still use the name Chosen King?
So interesting story about that. So it's not that I don't use it anymore. It's just that it was a good starting point. Makonamadu who still call me that time and time again because that's the name that they recognize more now. But I felt like for me it was a good starting point. It was a good way to enter into the whole thing of having a stage name, so to speak. So it's still there, but you won't hear me saying it. But I will acknowledge anyone who themselves. Usually sometimes I'm Mulisa with that name. So these days I go by Sanele Nongauza or Sanele short, depending. But so not that I don't use it anymore, but I mostly just say Sanele Nongauza these days. When you get Sanele Nongauza, but
Right.
all those who know the name on my SMS.
So you rebranded.
You can say that. Yeah, you can say that. You can say that.
That's why it's a rebrand. Okay, I understand now. Because when they're combined, it's been a while. I haven't heard you say chosen name in a while, right? But we now know that Sanele Nongauza, and it's great to know that there's a rebranding happening because I mean growth as well, right? I guess. So
Yeah.
first of all, before we usually just now, but first of all, I want to say thank you, right? Because I feel like we haven't thanked you as we are saying to this reader, but we just I feel like even if me saying thank you to you right now, I will be speaking even for others as well that you've helped into actually discovering that we do kind of have a talent right here and we might want to work on it, right? So I really just want to say thank you so much for giving us an opportunity, right? Because honestly, I knew that part of me does love radio, but I just didn't know that I kind of have some sort of a talent into it. But you gave me a chance, and in giving me a chance as well, you were very patient with me. And Nabani way too, that you've kind of helped because not so long ago, I spoke with one of Amanda WhatsApp one, and she mentioned the fact that you were very patient with her as well, especially when she started reading out music that was radio. So we just kind of want to say thank you so very much for giving us an opportunity and making us realize that there's a little bit of a talent here. Even this Amanda, I had a conversation with him on the podcast as well. He kept on mentioning your name and how he helped him into becoming the commander that he is right now. So thank you so very much, man. Thank you. We really appreciate you.
Hey guys, we must do unto others what others have done for us, because now I'm also one of the guys who was given an opportunity to be pioneer in Madiba's radio. So I only felt that it was right to make sure that you do the same thing for Abanye Bantu, especially if you see Umdu wants to learn what this is, Umdu wants to learn what this whole radio thing is about. It's like driving. When you're driving on the road and then imoto yakho installed and then icime ke ngokuserobotini, then abanye go behind bapipizela hayi bafundisa endleleni. People forget that we all started as non-drivers. We didn't know how to drive, but then now they want to get on your case. So when it comes to the whole radio thing, every one of us started from square one. All of us started from the point of business in Nix, and we learned as time went on. So I felt that that's why that patience was important, because not everyone is going to get it the same way that other people got it. They get it quickly, they get it slowly, but you do get people who eventually they get it and then it just flows from there. So I know I'm thankful that I could be someone that you guys consider as an opportunity there, but that's what's needed. We need to give these opportunities to people who we feel like, okay, you know what, I think now who's passionate about this and who wants to learn more. And that's what I saw Guwe, that's what I saw Guspa, that's what I saw Gutato, that's what I saw in quite a number of people time and time again. And look what happened after that, things just
at some point you want to say these are my products. One of the videos you can say you have products now.
we are all products of Uputsaki. That one's not going to change.
He really did help us, eh? He really did help us. And Gomnya that deserves the massive because the flowers is like while he's still alive. But for now, right, I want to speak with you as Sanele Nongauza, right? So I think a few weeks back, yeah, we were speaking. I don't know what we were speaking about. I know what we were speaking about. It's just that how did we get into that conversation? But right? Yeah. And in your response, because I kind of had this idea in my mind, which I don't know where I got it, but I felt like, I thought that you had no idea about indigenous and ancestral stories, right? But we spoke, and then you said to me, I was like, you know something about indigenous and then you said to me, no, right? And then I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. But okay, I'm so glad that you mentioning that. And that kind of brings me to my first question because I was like, well, it seems like I didn't know you, right? Now I want to know how was your upbringing? Sanele Nongauza, where did you grow up and how was your upbringing and everything? Besides, I think Sanele Nongauza that we might see as a coconut.
Let me start as far back as Manditi age 3.
Yeah.
Most of us always, well, not always, but most of us, whenever you asked what's your earliest memory, when was your earliest memory, it's usually around about that age, 3 years old. So my earliest memory is to know that I exist. So I remember the first time I was conscious, it was Daddy Beleki went by one of either my sisters or my cousins Sikotuka, and then Pants went down or So that's my earliest memory of like, oh snap, I exist. Yeah, so the way I grew up, I can't say that I had a bad childhood, Shem, because I was just a child who, I turned I liked going outside for the longest time. I was always an outside kid. It was a great childhood in the sense that and you had great times playing these different games. It was a fun time. A product of a single mother, and again for the longest time. Before the phone I lived with umakhulu wethu, umama kamama wami, eSbeleni, eKomani. Now, it's very sketchy as to how long I was there. I know that between 1995, 96 to 97, Daganahlala eSbeleni for a while. I'm assuming it's because Mama couldn't have me there full time because in Waipangela, left, right, and center, because she had to work on night shift or day shift, so maybe me being around was not great for my be there constantly. And I remember made a ton of friends, got into trouble, but that's what we boys do. And from there, in 1998, I moved back to a King, a Paramesa, because that was a Paramesa. So I moved back to a Paramesa, and then from there, when I get primary, junior primary school is the Japan Zone 8 from 1998 and from grade 1 Payana. And then from grade 1, it was grade 1, 1998, and then go on the mover with the years, which is a great thing. So I don't know that feeling of you've been condoned or whatever. I never had that. It's like my mind the whole time. For mainly that, I was there from grade 1 to grade 4. But what happened, I went to a Berlin primary, which was in 2002. I had go grade 5 primary. Now, so so I fit right in because he's looking at us. But unfortunately, some people know this, but only like a handful of people know this, but a lot of other people don't. Berlin primary is where, for the first time, I started being bullied, actually. Because physically, I was always the smallest part. I was always the smallest child, physically. Like that, you're you. Like the pitila already go, but at least go the pitila with a bit of muscle. But during those days, so I was an easy target for even abantu baku grade yam and people who were much older. So I was being bullied there almost on a daily basis. One day, kwabaku incident by the tuck shop where corner this kid, I'm not sure you can like with I forgot. One equator during the people like Pangaband, one equator, and I could literally feel like, hey, they are far up, but no one is doing a damn thing.
Yeah.
And then ndinjalo ke ngoku ndiye kootishara ndibaxele kwenzeke ntoni, they did nothing about it. Yabo. So I was there ke ngoku kwa grade 5, 6, and 7. And I enjoyed my time, but for the most part, I never enjoyed it because of that bullying that kept happening there, and no one did a damn thing about it. Anyway, no one did a damn thing about it. One of the teachers that I'd never liked, not that I never liked him, but he never liked me. Yeah, teacher of grade 6. I think principal there. Yeah, I share. But why no favorites? Zaki. Why no favorites? As one as I sport, who are the most talented sport guys, Payan, as the favorites, like, so they could do no wrong, even though by a bullish. I share and then there's us. But I started playing a sport, Payana. I did relatively well. I was actually quite talented. With cricket.
Okay.
But I was never properly coached. I was always thrown in to play, but I was never properly coached. But I could always, for Mdana who was 10 years old, 11 years old, I could always hit a ball. Like I had great timing with ball, but I was never coached during that time. So grade 5, 6, and 7, Payana, 30 English, left, right, and center, Popeye almost every day. I think I was top 10, top 12 academically for all those grades that I was top 10, top 12. And then sports now, I was okay. I was not like up there, but I was okay. I was doing well. And prize giving, I never knew there was such a thing as a prize giving up until someone see a prize giving for sister who was under my other sister. Now I'm going as one good prize giving. So from grade, yeah. So from grade 7, okay, now apparently I've always said that, but I always wanted to go to a Dale Junior, which is the junior school, not the college. Jiggy, one day, application as a Dale College. I'm like, and then what I got to do for Dale? I'm like, yes, but not that one. I never wanted to go to Dale College. I wanted to go to Dale Junior, But I apply, okay, and then I was called for an interview, and I'll never forget. I showed up. Most interview was yes, school. You're supposed to show up in the uniform of the school that you're in.
Okay.
She could not come back to the house. Why some sevens? What about South Tivana Pa Escore for interview? I don't remember about Danny Suwanguman. Could have been that one, I'm not sure. But Danny see we go from Ainley to Escore. I meet with the Mama Wam and she gets pissed off. Because the Nebe Impash is dark. Is Bash made in Nibilang Mental. I was able to uniform, but I can't has my friend in uniform. Can't you go see a interview? Belly won't on. Oh, I can't. So she was upset and she was worried about but the interview, so I was at the college from grade 8 to grade 12.
Okay.
But if you thought it was bad in terms of the bullying, it daily was like 10 times.
Oh my God.
It was 10 times worse. It was significantly worse. I found myself, there was a point during grade 8 where I wanted to leave the school because it was just getting way too bad. But I don't know what made me forget. I'm like, oh, Dana, want to do something, but then somewhere along the line, so somewhere along the line, I forgot that I wanted to leave and I stayed there. So academically, in Payana, I was okay. The English was improving. Yeah, changing English. Yes, a billion. Yeah, I like English as a college. Oh yeah, bro, you know what? I found a Payana.
Okay.
sport ndasenza phayana. I remember I played cricket, I played hockey. I did try a bit of tennis as well. Did a bit of squash nayo. I did also do a bit of rugby as well, but I never stuck with that one. I was like, actually, not for me. Definitely not for me. That's rugby. Definitely, that's rugby. But contact, no. I was like, nah, not for me, Sean. And then, so the bullying continued, but ndabakla hype leya yoba college, so nami ndaqala ubonisa into ekuthiwa zigym, ndafuna ungena ejimini. Actually, it was a lot. So a lot was happening there, but my experience Payana was relatively better than Yase Berlin. But there was a large part of me which did not enjoy it wholeheartedly because of that bullying aspect, of that whole where there's the popular people, and then there's the friends of the popular people, and then there's everyone else, and then there's the nerds way down there. Like I was always down there, I was always down there. So that part I never liked about that, because it was just, I never understood why I'm in a sense. And I could never, at the time, I could never stand up for myself, because physically, again, now you're in a school where physical, cool. People who could literally break you if they wanted to. So at that time, I could never stand up for myself. So I could never speak up for myself. You know what I mean? So the bullying there was not just physical. It was also emotional, and it was also mental. And that was just, and when you bully someone on all those levels, I actually am finished. Oh, I'm finished. Like at the end, I believe in to die.
Okay, so at Berlin, the teachers couldn't do anything about the bullying that you were experiencing. I mean, you went to Dale College. Was it the same story as well there?
Okay, so Pilot Berlin, not that they couldn't do anything, they just didn't do anything. Yeah, but Pilot Dale, I never brought it up because of that mentality at Pilot Berlin, because I thought to myself, if teachers there are not going to do a damn thing, who's to say about these guys want to do a damn thing up? Mind you, some of the teachers Pilot Dale, but coaches of our Bulishai. Yes. So do you see how it's like any way that you can turn, it's like, fine, you just endure. I think that's why I got that whole thing of unyamezela. That's okay, not entirely, but partly is unyamezela. It's like, because you endure all of that every day, you know what I mean? So there'll be days where you don't even want to go to school. So it was just bad. But you know, from grade 11, I feel like there was a turning point going to grade 11. Grade 11. So at these boys' schools, or not at these boys' schools, at these Model C schools, kubakho awards, colors, right? Colors awards. And those things at some of the schools, you have an opportunity to wear a blazer at different of many colors. Sure. Now, classifier we look at these ultimos, blazer red and black, or black and red. But leya colors like white and red. So we get there, we're like, oh wow, like you want that, you want that kind of blazer, because it's completely animals. You wear those blazers during special occasions like prize giving, like a reunion assembly, but mostly during the sports days, the derby days, the rugby days, you wear that during that time. So aside from doing this sport, I did the first aid as well. Okay. First aid, sasincedisa ke xa kudlalwayo, sithi abantu who are standing on the side, if someone gets injured, kungena thina sobancede. The first aid naye also had the colors. So I qualified for half colors as a first aid, which meant I could wear a blazer emhlophe and a bomb, all right? So half colors, there's full colors, and then there's honors. Half colors is iblazer emhlophe with istripe esibomvu qha. Full colors is iblazer emhlophe with istripe esibomvu, istripe esi-red and black. And the honors on it, it's still that same white with red and black stripes, but badge is different. The half colors badge imhlophe, the full colors badge is gold. The honors badge is, it's hard to describe, but it's in Indonesian. So you could always tell who's got what. And also, when you got colors, not emnyama. So you stand out to school. This one assembly was, okay, we're going to be awarding the colors. Well, okay, sure. Now, I didn't think, I'm like, was award the colors at that time because who first aid, Mr. Clute, why who qualifies and whatnot. We know that we took the tests as an answer, but he didn't say about one pass them on finish. It's okay, but we're going to be awarding colors for A, B, C, and D. Class to first aid, I'm like, okay, you're sitting up, okay. Is it maybe? I want to go around because you just right?
Yeah.
Bizamagam. Clark Twa Sale goes, all the names that we call up, please come forward to the stage. Okay. Bizamagam one by one. And then once my figure come along, Kabela, the Pagamenog in the stage, no Fumani does it.
Okay.
As soon as they said Sanele Nongauza, yeah, my dude. Above one up and exactly. I will telephone colors once ago. Yay.
No ways.
So next to being Umdu, who was being bullied by the Wasasconomos because I was at that bottom level, I was also one of the most unpopular people there at the school. I don't know why. And yes, I never knew.
It was not you're not even onto that likes to start and I honestly don't know why would they pick up on you. Seriously.
So again, I stood up, chest out, stomach in, as land payan, almost when everyone grabs theirs, there was the applause until applause. I'm like, oh.
Okay. Yeah. It was pretty hectic for you, Mas.
So the next week showed up, yeah.
And everything, they started to put some respect on your name.
Maybe a phone, even
they didn't want you to.
They didn't want to because now they felt like if I could get colors and way plays them shop, anyone could get colors. So even about me, there was even this whole thing of Abantu Badlali Soccer. They wanted to be recognized as Abantu Badlali first team. But about my natures is in shop and don't. And it was like that happened after I got it colors up. And I heard the chatter around that, but hey, about it, they were really pissed off that I got it colors and what they didn't. I'm like, I don't know, I don't understand. Like, so it was, I don't know, man. People just did not like me, and I have no idea why. Maybe it's just because I was an easy target. I don't know. So I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Meanwhile, I never understood why.
And it really doesn't make any sense.
Huh?
It really doesn't make any sense why they would actually pick up on you. Because knowing you, I know that I'm going to do and you always try to find ways of fixing or look on. So it's actually surprising for me to realize that you went through that. I was not expecting. I thought maybe you were one of the popular guys that we really loved. They were really loved by people. So now it comes as a surprise to me that you actually experienced bullying, right? So now then I got so interested in you explaining the whole process of you being bullied in school, right? Because I think bullying has a way of kind of like changing people. Sometimes it does change people for the better. Sometimes it makes them worse, right? So with you having to experience bullying from your primary school into your high school or rather college, I think, Klabi, as now personally, I know that it would have changed me to become the worst person on God's earth, right? But for some weird reason, you still remained as Sanele that we now know, right? Would you then say growing up around Ikaya that surrounded mostly by female kind of like contributed to the person that you are, or it was a personal choice that you need to become a better person, even though you kind of like experienced bullyism in your life?
So growing up in a house where you're the only male,
Yeah.
It has its benefits and it has its downsides. Number one, it made me, I don't want to say it made me understand women more, because there's no understanding in it at all. No matter what age you're at, will never understand you for the life of me, will never understand you. I don't want to say it made me understand women more, but it made me treat women differently.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm used to being around. I'm used to having women around me almost 24/7, or not 24/7, but for a lot of the day, I was always surrounded by Amanda Bangoses. So how I respond to women, how I talk to women, how I treat women, how I interact with women, I am different in that sense because of the upbringing. So much so that you find that I do have friends who are women, quite a number of them, in fact, because I don't know. But the downside to that is you could never take that whole thing of police or escobin or because what are they going to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, there is nothing that they could have done, nothing that they could do more. And I didn't even take it to them because I didn't even felt like they would care. Because, when you're the youngest child in the house, you're the one who gets treated. Sometimes we're not spoiled, but you're the one who gets treated the less harshest. My older sister fell to Mama Wam when she was at her, at her freshest, almost at her strongest. My other sister, and she got her like version 2. I got version 3. Version 3 was still harsh, but not as harsh as she was between these two. So I know, but they looked at me differently a lot. But hey, this, gets preferential treatment. So to me, I'm like, I didn't feel like they could care about they could care about what was happening in my life. So I kept it to myself. And I wouldn't say that the bullying actually didn't change me. It did.
Okay.
Got cool. It affected a lot of things. Where it's emotion in a very big way. It took me quite a long time to be able to stand up for myself, not just physically, but verbally as well. I think okay, by nature, I think confrontation. But after Nicole, I knew that, but you know what? As much as you don't like confrontation, it's necessary. You'd find, as you say now, most if there's a situation, I'll do my best to diffuse it. But I learned in the past number of years, but sometimes, but okay, because as I'm out, sometimes you're not going to respect a person just based on what they say to you. Sometimes you have to make them respect you by because Dad and who are older and bigger than I am. But then I also knew at the same time that, you know what, now I have to stand up for myself. So when someone, or not someone, when some people, ever decided to try their luck, I decided, you know what, screw it. Now I'm going to retaliate. But you know what, I need to stand up for myself. So it changed me in the sense that I could not stand up for myself for the longest time, and I could not bring it back to Qadikazi because others was one, and I felt like they didn't care. But it's something that I can say that by and we've seen it. It affects abanye abantu to a point where
Yes.
and I'm not saying I never thought about that, because trust me, that was a thought. But it was something held me back from following through with Yongalonale. And I decided that, you know what, maybe there's something worth living for. And just like I did when I was at Berlin, not at Berlin, when I was at Dale, when I wanted to leave the school, somewhere along the line, I forgot that I wanted to leave the school. Somewhere along the line, I forgot that I did not want to actually be alive anymore. I forgot about it. University, into first year. But from university, that's when I learned how to defend myself. That's when I learned how to stand up to a man. That's when I learned, but you know what, sometimes when I go and pull myself, I ain't going to.
And that's it. This was sometimes as okay, so right now you moved from Dale, right? And then went to varsity. And then you were Mr. Freshers or Mr. MMU. Which one were you?
Mr. Fresher 2012.
Yes, Mr. Fresher 2012, right? But as someone that has been bullied at school already, didn't that probably made you to kind of like have self-esteem issues? Because I mean, in your pageant, with pageant, right? Yes, it requires a lot of confidence and did you trust yourself in that whole process? So you're gonna, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna give it my best. And it's also being everything that I went through in my high school years.
It added on to the issues that I already had with the self-esteem.
Okay.
Now, I had self-esteem issues from Epelin, where that bullying started, because Epelin, it wasn't just a boys' school; it was a co-ed school, so both boys and girls, and it wasn't just the boys who were bullying; it was the girls as well. And the girls more, they didn't just bully physical. Who are a bit taller and what, but they also did bully you mentally and emotionally. When like you guys, when you don't like each other, the things you say about each other. Now imagine you saying that to a kid who's the smallest in the class, or take English, you're gonna make him feel as if he's nothing. Do you understand? So they did a whole lot of that. And also the guys as well now, maybe bullish. Now take that where the self-esteem issue started. We used to go on at the boys' school at deal. So the bullying now, okay, it really did affect the self-esteem issues that I had. Yes, amplify to a point where it was very difficult for me to look at myself in the mirror and actually see umdu or attractive. And to the point where it was like, hey, do you know? Obviously, you don't know. It was actually quite difficult for me to be in a relationship with anyone at those times because of, look, I'm not the most attractive guy you're ever gonna see. No, I am not. Leo, I know that for a fact. But I'm not the ugliest guy either. No. There's Kalela. I'm telling you a fact.
As long as he thought, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm not the most attractive guy you're gonna see, but I'm not the ugliest either. You know what I mean? There's some dudes who are like, So I'm caught there. Good try songs. No, we are gone. I'm like not going to lap. I do well for myself. You know what I mean? But That's only because now I have that confidence. I'm not going to say I don't have self-esteem issues now, because I feel like those are constant work, but they're definitely not the same as before. Like before, there was nothing to be confident about, in my opinion anyway. So that bullying did indeed amplify the self-esteem issues that I already had. And also now, amongst abantu abakhulu who are like muscular and buff and whatnot at a boys' school for an entire 5 years, iba ingxaki for you because that's what you've always wanted to look like. But when you struggle to look like that because you don't know how you can look like that, and you think that by your efforts in trying to look like that as semeans, do you know what I mean? So I've always seen myself as a Ndopitileyo, and I felt like, but I've never grown at all. Until I saw, okay, I'll tell that one later. So those self-esteem issues only started getting better in varsity. Roundabout my second year, because in as much as I never failed from primary school to high school, I actually varsity roof. So my second year at varsity, I think that's when things started changing for him now, where I started to be a bit more. I started to learn how to be a bit more confident. I started to learn how to be a bit more expressive. I started to learn how to be a bit more, a bit less, I started giving myself a break. Okay. Less critical of myself. Yeah, boy. Started looking at the good parts. Started looking at the good things that I can do, the good things that I do have. Yeah. And also at that time, I was a bit heavy in the gym, like the energy man, and I was doing judo as well. So Leo had its physical benefits up in Zimbabwe, but at the time I didn't think it had any. Until 2014, I showed up, and all of a sudden people were like, "Baby, I'm like, what the hell are you people talking about?" Because I still felt like I looked the same. Yeah. Fast forward to now. I can tell you for a fact that about some weeks ago, I keep things. Some weeks ago, I found a CD of some videos I made for 2011. And I looked at those videos of how I looked in 2011, and I was like, actually, like physically, actually. Yeah. Yes, decidedly, I'm not the biggest guy out there, but physically, like significantly. Like if you'd see those videos, if you would see what I looked like at that time, you would be afraid. So I actually physically grew, and I never knew. I always thought, now, I've been growing and never even seen that. So, and this was just now. I literally just discovered this now, 2022. Yeah, well, and that was in 2011. That was 11 years ago. So the self-esteem issues are much better now because nobody can tell me a damn thing. You understand?
Well, true that.
Yeah, no one can tell me a damn thing, Goku, whether you're young or you're old. No one can tell me a damn thing now. Like I said, I know I'm not the most attractive guy in the world, but damn, I am attractive to some people, and I am more attractive than the least attractive guy in the world. So nobody is telling me, and it's the things that I didn't, Mr. Freshet, actually, that whole pageant with that. It was tough for me to enter that pageant. Okay. Because I didn't believe why would I, enter that? Yeah. But he was the one who convinced me to enter, and he said that you got nothing to lose. Just enter the pageant. If you go through, you go through. If you don't go through, you don't go through. Okay, fine. Filled in the form, and then I got the SMS, you've been through to prejudging. Okay, I suppose that's how it goes. I'll pre-judging. Okay. Fika pre-judging. Buzi questions as buzwayo 1 2 1 2. Okay, Zapum. Later on the day, congratulations, you've made it to the top 12 for Mr. and Miss Freshette. I'm like, huh? Oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So okay, yabayilo process iyo ke ku Freshette, ngomandi. Two things stand out. This is before the show.
Yeah.
Two things stand out for me. I remember when we were doing the promotions at all these different campuses, a South Campus, a cafeteria most fine. So one of your posters there was there at the cafeteria, and I remember the John on the poster, and I saw this Kangel, and when I saw a picture I am there, ukhona umuntu othathe ipene emnyama and wow, rhokoloza all over my face, literally, like all over ubuso.
I wonder if I've been picking up on you
for ages. And this was 2012, okay? And this was 2012. I don't know. So, and I saw this, I'm like, wow, so even here, people really don't like me at all. No, okay, sure. Hey, I don't know, man. And that affected that time because I'm like,
I wanted to ask that when it didn't then affect you because now
it did.
In varsity and you decided, Mama, I'm need to get to the competition when this happened.
No, it did affect me. And it made me stop enjoying Lenny B. Senzek until the second moment. So we're done now doing promos a campus in. Now we're going off campus. See, I was a res off campus.
Yeah.
So I went to this one res. It's a town, it digs, a central, a military. And I walked in there. We all walked in there. Yay. So people are, yeah, we're walking in there, we're knocking on doors to tell them about the show. Snama ticket, there's all for them to buy tickets. And then we just hear people screaming upstairs, like, ah! Like, what's going on? Okay, sure. So we keep going door to door. Yeah, man, I get there upstairs. And then they turn around and they see me and they scream even louder. I'm like, is there someone else available? No, I was like, standing there.
Yeah.
And they're screaming for me. Like they're screaming so loud. I could even they were screaming for me. And the way they were screaming, it was like, that was the first time I've ever been attractive to the point where they would actually scream for me. And it was a moment because that's something that I've seen happen to people. Never go. So as they're screaming, they're asking me to lift up my shirt. I'm like, okay, this is getting personal. I lift up, go skip, and I show the abs. Yo, Shem, yo, Mangola. What is going on? Gato, guys, we have to go. I'm like, no, we don't want to go. When I got onto the bus, I felt, you know that feeling when you feel excited and you feel like you feel good all of them.
Yes.
It was literally that. And I'd never felt that before, like, hey, my dude, I'm attractive to somebody. And
so it was a moment for you to say, actually, someone now is seeing me.
So after that, I decided, you know what, with this show, I'm just going to have fun. Yeah. At least I've got to experience that moment of having, I don't know how many women who were screaming at me,
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And then the show comes, screams are there, screams are here. I'm like, what else is new? And then there was new scenes, Pumabandu, Puma the show yet. Yeah, film the August. Well, poor ma'am, when they talk to I'm like, yeah, of course. I said, what? It's fine. Yeah. And then when they're announcing the top 5, I remember the MC, Alive Nick. And then Alive was announcing the top 5. Backstage, the cooler jacket jam. Because I'm thinking to myself, I was also didn't make it top 5 for numbers. I mean, with no one screaming for me out there, there's no way in hell. Then Ali Vigo announces the top 5. The last name that she reads out, is Sanele Nongauza. I'm like, huh? I literally sit there for a good 5 seconds. Did they I'm like, oh shit. If anyone who was at that show remembers, after they announced my name, I took a good maybe 20 seconds to come out, maybe even less than that, because I was not expected to be there, because I had to find a jacket time.
Yes.
Fast forward to questions, the questions to whom they give the answers, they come to me, they ask me my question, I say what I said. Wogundu just lost and Wogundu just lost it in Pi Heinz bets.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, okay. This okay.
That was nice.
And then they announced the winners. Go back to Mr. Fresh at 2012. Sanele Nongauza. I can go. What is Saba? I'm like, yeah, but on you winning the way young.
Right.
I won.
That's huge.
So it's from that moment, from that night, which was 21st of April, 2012, was from that night that I started to have a bit more confidence in myself, because La competition was a validation of, you might not be popular with everyone, but bakhona abantu who like you the way you are when yourself. So that's when it started, the self-esteem to get better from that moment. It didn't completely get better there. That was the beginning point. So that competition was the moment ever city that sort of changed in terms of me now feeling a bit more confident about myself going forward. And a fun fact, I won that competition 21st of April, 2012. I graduated for the first time, 21st of April, 2018. Same day, 6 years later.
Which is a moment right there. So now I want to know, do you think then having to win Mr. Freshers and then kind of like gain your self confidence is the reason why then you decided to be on radio, or you were thinking about radio even before that moment?
So someone said to me, I think it was either it wasn't last year. It was either 2 or 3 years ago. Khona enye igrotmane yathi kum, kaloku wena wawusasazi kwangoku usentabeni. So it seems that into year rate was already a thing way back in the day. I think the first time I started thinking about being on radio was when I went, I don't know when I went, it was after 2010. That's when I started to think about the whole thing of being on radio. But okay, that's when I started to look at it. Okay, Zamu, and I even did, I didn't even know I was doing demos, but I did demos at that time. That's for myself, mind is my man, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was around about 2010, 2011. But apparently, according to this individual, I don't remember who it was, but that's what he said to me. And there's a moment, I forgot about this, but there's a moment. 2009, when I matriculated, was towards the last days of school. Yeah. There's a guy who Siabulela Ndema. I think it was the last day of school, actually. Maybe it could have been, or even second last, I don't know. But I remember he saying to me that, Yazawada, you should actually do sports commentary.
Okay.
That's where you belong. You should do sports commentary. And I'm like, and at the time I never even thought about it. So he said I should do sports commentary. When you should be someone Otetai, for a living. And he passed away sometime after that, actually. That was the last conversation I ever had with him, White Hat on Day. And it stuck with me. So I think somewhere between 2009 and 2010 and 2011, I picked up this thing, right?
Okay.
And I remember the thing I wanted to do was the sports commentary, but somewhere on the line, it led me to radio. Yeah, bro.
Okay.
So I think I just started liking it at the time. And then it just never left in Modoyam. Up until up at NMMU, you get, when you're studying journalism, radio practice. For some reason, I got very excited during radio practice. Every time. Radio practice, I sent on Mr. Devin Cohn at the time. I think it was Sebenza Herald, I'm not sure. I got excited every time to send the radio practice, especially when we were doing practicals. I got excited. I remember one class exercise, we were told to write a script and then the script send up and then see phone in front of the whole class. And then you're going to be finding marks that could go based on how you perform. I ended up being the best one in the class at the time. Just after I finished reading, Wonggung was like, yep, that's the one. He's the one. Yep.
Yes.
Only one person was better than me. Only one person. It was Poset Nongang.
Okay.
when I read, people got excited, like, oh shit, like he's the one. When she read, even me, I was like, we touch it. So she was that good.
Yeah.
Because she had this, her voice was there, but she had a bit of Nokolo in her as well.
It's combined.
Yes. So it was always in me, I think, Lendoye rate of just liking it. But only when I got to Matima's radio in 2014 did I start really, taking it, I won't say taking it seriously, but really learning more about it from that time. Yeah, well, I think it was, to answer your question, I got it at a much earlier age, even before I got to Upper Facet.
Okay. All right. So it wasn't in the matter, okay, now I am in varsity and in Zamanga, we're all doing different type of things. Okay, so how was the experience then at Matima's radio? You got there in 2014, and I think got 2014, right? So you're one of the people that got there in center. So obviously now this is a campus radio station, and it's audience, it's young people, and there. How was the experience of getting into radio? Like, did you now, since you felt like, oh, I really love it, it's something that I want to pursue, or can you kind of build on top of it?
So Madiba's radio did start in 2014 AOA. 2014 was September, but I was not one of the people who were there first.
Okay.
I was not part of that first intake of people. Now I only came in on a part-time basis when the head of news at the time, was Kamala Musia, but I forgot his surname, and I really don't like the fact that I forgot his surname, but I knew him very well. He wanted windows of my newsreader, so he asked me to do news reading part-time. So I'm minding and then the Pullmans or in news. And then from 2014, 2015, I'm there on a permanent basis. And then from there, I just was there for up until I came here. The experience partner was a very, it's what was needed. Apakum to learn about what an actual radio station is and what an actual radio station and how it functions, what it does, what it's not supposed to do, what it's meant to do, and what does it need from you. So ndayifunda yonke loo nto leyo phaa eMadiba's Radio. I learned all of that there. And then the experience all in all it was a learning curve, because Payana, you allowed to make your mistakes. You make so many mistakes, Payana. Eventually you will find the voice yako. You will find who you are radio-wise. You will find how you sound. You'll find your sound, Payana, at that level, because from there you can be plucked up also on a more commercial or PBS platform. So that's the experience that was needed at the time. That's why I keep saying to anyone who wants to go on radio, because even I made the mistake of trying to be, I think I did try and drop a CV at Metro FM very early on, before Madiba's Radio, actually, I think. I'm not sure. People may, sometimes you can get lucky and your very first gig can be on a national radio station. But you start community radio stations, campus radio stations, internet radio stations, and then you work yourself out from there. That's what I always tell people. If you want to start, go to campus radio, community radio, or internet radio. Just start, and then you work, you present constantly, so that you hone the craft and you find your voice, Payana, so that by the time uviwa by a national platform, you're already made product, so to speak. Not that that's the best you'll ever be. No, the best is still to come. But at least there, we can take you so far, and you're going to be able to do the shows. You understand? So I always rate that experience as very valuable, Payana Madiba's Radio. I also did work at Go FM for.
Yes, I wanted to know, was it 2018, 2019 when you were working at Go FM? 2018, right? How was the experience and how did it came about? I was like, I'm so excited. I don't even know how did that came about, but like, I'm really, really excited for you. How did the Go FM thing came about, and how was the experience?
So
was it different from Madiba's Radio? Like, what can you say about it?
So what people don't know is that a commercial radio station and a campus radio station are exactly the same thing in terms of how they function. Any radio station is exactly the same as a community or campus radio station. The only thing that was different about Go FM and Madiba's Radio was, at the time, everyone from Go FM is at the office at the same time, and Payana people make money to get paid. Those are the only differences. Otherwise, everything else is exactly the same. The sales department, marketing department, programming manager, sales manager, marketing manager. It was basically the same thing as Madiba's Radio. Now there's money at stake. You understand? And everyone is at the office at the same time. So the heady posts out for people to do news internships, and I applied for that, but I didn't make it through the interviews. And then there was an HR workshop yayisenziwe phane eMadiba's Radio. Yayenziwa nguSoso, uLebogang Sandla, no Lihle. Yes. After that HR workshop and the tips they gave us, and I still remember, actually, I still have the whole recording of that employment workshop. I have the notes, everything. I understood where I went wrong during the interview. Go FM.
Okay.
So when they had SD posts for interns for video production, and I used those tips. And as soon as I walked in, they were like, "Oh, you again? Okay." And I used those tips in that interview. For video production.
Okay.
So now I was there for pretty much an entire year. And I studied a media workshop through Go FM, through MICTC. So that was a thing. It was an experience that I feel I needed to see how a professional environment is. In as much as I was always on campus radio, I needed to see what the commercial side ibanjani.
Yes.
Aisha, Ayana, I can move. So
Yeah.
that prepared me for this, because after that internship was over there, they didn't pick up the contract, and then they pinned a back at Matiba's radio for 2019, and then 2020 was the pandemic, so I was sending bulletins from home, and then late 2020 I got the call from a True FM, but they like to make me an offer. Yeah,
Oh, that's what I wanted to know. When I like, how did this whole thing of interact happen? And funny enough, I thought you joined 2021, so it was 2020.
No, I did join 2021.
Oh, you joined in 2021. You got a call in 2020. Oh,
yes, okay. I got the call in 2020 to join. I got the call in 2020 to be told by, we are interested in bringing you in.
Okay. Was it all right, now continue.
But it's gonna depend on itini direction as you're going into next year.
Okay.
At the time, I didn't know what that means. I do know now, because late in the year, those of our meetings is before April, where they're gonna decide about, okay, what direction are we going in now? Who are we going to keep? Who are we going to employ? Yeah, well, so I was at that stage when they were deciding about, okay, we're going to decide if we're going to bring you in or not. I got the call from Budmasi Mtingane, who was the former program manager with the True FM at the time. And he was the one who said, we're considering bringing you in.
Okay.
In February, he called me again and he said, you would like me to come in for a meeting? And then that's when they gave me the offer of February 2021. And officially, I started True FM in April 2021.
Yes.
But from there.
Yes. Oh, okay, cool. So the you got a call that says we would like you to be a sports presenter, right? So now I want to know, right? You've been doing sports for the longest time. Yeah. When you joined Matilda's Radio, you were doing sports as well, and and you also now are doing sports. Yeah. So now we had a conversation at some guys. We do talk, fine. We had you posted a status on your WhatsApp that speaks of a women's cricket, and I was so shocked about. I'm a women's cricket. As South Africa, okay, I tell you, women's cricket. I said that in my years, in my many years of existence, I've never heard about it. So I wanted to understand at that time how are we not knowing? Because I'm pretty much sure I was not the only one who didn't know about the women's cricket thing. So I wanted to know where do we go wrong then? Like in your years of presenting sport, like what is the difference between the women's sport and also the men's sport? Every time there's something that is spoken of when it comes to women's sport, we're like, when it comes to women's sport, like where do we go wrong as South Africans, and also like what's the difference between the sports as
So it's not a South African issue. It's an issue all around the world. It's women's sports has long been looked at differently when you compare it to men's sports. Sport has always been attributed to Amadot for the longest time. When you heard sport, bring Amadot immediately. Even today, when you hear sport, bring Amadot. Yeah, one has a memes that are flying on Facebook time and time again. Oh, they will watch an entire match from 5 to 8, and then from 8 to 11, another one. And then I'm looking at highlights of those matches go until 12:01. I put up saying go UFC. Yeah, it's those things because those are my dot. Now, there's been this movement in the world to make sure that there is inclusion and there's equality of some sort when it comes to certain sports.
Yes.
We've known that sports like tennis and hockey and swimming now, so women have been in those sports now, and even Obalek as well, athletics. But sports like soccer, rugby, the more physical sports, even the cricket now to a large extent, there hasn't been a whole lot of focus when it comes to women being in those sports. But then people had to realize that, guys, women can play sports too. And they can play these sports. There are women who like playing rugby. There are women who like playing soccer. There are women who actually like and can play cricket. So throughout the times, throughout the years, more and more women started playing these sports wherever they were in the world. And eventually, when you have a whole lot of people playing those sports, it's going to translate to a professional league with professional teams, and then ultimately having them on a national team. The problem with women's sports is that they're not as exciting as men's sports.
Okay.
And the reason why they're not as exciting is because the fastest man is faster than the fastest woman. The strongest man, physically anyway, in terms of phakamisizim, the strongest man is stronger than the strongest woman. So women are at a disadvantage because physically, you guys are not meant for sports.
Okay.
And I say meant for in a reason. Not about anikwazi ubaleka, anikwazi ulifta, anikwazi ukhaba ibhola, but it's just that guys do it better than amateur. And guys are much faster than women. So men's matches tend to be more exciting because they are faster in pace. Women's matches now, I'm just going to use Ebola as an example, football. Women's matches are not as fast as men's matches because the pace is different, because women are not as fast as the guys. People will say, okay, well, if you take Kaizer Chiefs and you put them against the USA women's team, Chiefs in a better, Tata Abato on the same level as those women. Now, if you're talking about the USA national team, UCC of the women, put them against the men's national team, you probably get the men winning, right?
Yes.
So if you compare the best man against the best woman,
yes,
the man is going to be better because physically guys are more gifted than women when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
So with that, making women's sports less exciting, there is less investment in women's sport now in terms of imali and sponsorships. Now, if normally ayikho apho, it's going to be very hard to market it, because to market it, you need money. There's plenty of money in men's sports because and it's very marketable. There's plenty of money there, so it's very marketable. Premier League was every single year because phone about women included. But did you know about there's also a Premier League in England for women as well? Do you see? But SABC3. You understand? Because there's a demand for it. In order for things to be shown, there needs to be a demand for it. And it's hard for there to be a demand because people prefer men's sports. Even some women prefer men's sports because they're more exciting. So that's where women have a challenge. You're basically competing in a field that's male dominated. So you need to find your way. But with that being said, there's a whole lot of attention now that's being given to women's sports, especially at the SA when it comes to, for instance, cricket, when it comes to football. And what bit by bit. The Hollywood Bets Super League. Hollywood Bets is a sponsor now for the professional women's league, for the Premier Division anyway. This is the women's cricket team that you found out about. By Ireland, they were playing against Ireland. They beat Ireland, whitewash in the series. Was in England in a few days' time. Was in series in England. England is the team that beat them in the semi-finals of the World Cup some months ago.
Yeah, like in England. So is it England? No?
Yeah, England.
Oh, okay. I feel like now you're in JP with South Africans because they always beating and beating.
I don't want to say there's a beef net between them, but it's like before, so yeah. So that's where women's sports struggles, yeah, because in certain sports, the football, for instance, because it's very male dominated. But Pioneer Europe one, they put money into it, they give it the attention, and yeah, cool. A USA women's soccer is a thing. Pioneer, that's why they're the best soccer team in the world, because Pioneer Upper SA still catching up to that kind of thing. Upper Africa in general. But there are some sports where you sometimes you tune in to watch the women. I'll give an example. Athletics, the men's 100 meters is not as exciting as the women's 100 meters. And when I'm not going with these past 2-3 years, I love the women's 100 meters because the women they're the ones who are the stars now. And what about you say, both again? The focus is now on these women. That's what I'm saying. It's not as exciting in men's 100 meters. Yes, they're faster, but the stars are the women because the big names, Bongaba Payan, that's a 100 meter sprint athletics. So you see, yeah, cool as bit by bit, but in some sports, the stars more. If you want to go Shelly and Fraser Price up in South Africa, I promise you would see. But hey,
okay. Before Uzum decided, let me cut these two, right? I wanted to ask you a question of back in high school, right? That's where you joined sport, right? Or was it
primary school?
Primary school. So was it you joining sport because it's something that you love, or you joined sport because you kind of felt like if then I would join sport, then I would become one of these buff guys as well, and then be able to stand up for myself?
That's actually a more of a good question than you think it is, and I'll tell you why. So in primary school, the only two reasons why I joined sport is because, number one, Song as Asbugeli Sport on TV at the time, and before DSTV, we were just with SABC 1, 2, and 3. This is even before ETV. So Satano Smugeli Sport, Smugeli Springboks, Smugeli Bafana, and then I saw that, but okay, there's this such a thing called sport, right? And then one of my cousins actually, and he was the one who introduced me to playing sport. I think the first sport I ever played, cricket, I think. So from playing it there, it was actually fun, which was the second reason why I joined the sport in primary school, because it was actually fun. I actually liked doing it. Because in general, not by nature, right? I don't play with people, I don't do those things, but I like being physically involved in something of the sporting nature. So I've always been fascinated by the sports because of that. So I like just playing in general. That's why now you could never find me most of the time. I come back from school, I drop his indoors, I've always been and I think human beings in general, but a lot of us seem to decide because there's a reason why as someone who's always had this energy, I've always been who has more energy than everyone else, because and if you keep active, it's going to show. So in primary school, I joined because of those two reasons, because it was fun and I liked playing. In high school, I joined because it was fun and I liked playing. But the third reason is because of what you just said, because I felt like, okay, I could be one of those buff guys. You know what I mean? Because then at that time, you'd watch the DSTV much more. So you'd seen more sports and you'd seen more buff guys, you'd seen more buff athletes, and you're like, that's what you want to look like. Now you playing with them or against them. You're like, hey, but I never knew how. I never knew how to be buff. And when I found out how, I never knew. It's like the more you find out something, there's something better on top of it. Then you find out something better, you find out there's something better. You find out that you can get a better chest by doing push-ups. You start doing push-ups, you find out, oh, okay, no, unga bench. And then you start benching, it's like, oh, no, unga bench and get with the dumbbells. So it's like there was always something that I didn't do that I could have done, but I never knew about it. So I wanted to go physical. That was always a goal of mine, even to this day. Who's much bigger than I am, muscular wise. I've always wanted to be. I've always had this vision of Umzimba until Upper Gum, but it's been very difficult to get that because of the way Uzimba is. It's difficult for me to gain muscle and get bigger. But that's what I've always wanted. So that's why I joined the sports in the high school, because I wanted to be that. And because of the fact that it was fun and because of the fact that I like playing.
All right. Before we come to my last question, I want to know, when you're looking at the South African sports, right, compared to a sport of other countries, do you think are we growing, or there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done?
It depends on which sport you're talking about.
Okay.
So up in Southern, we have a huge issue in different sports now. We have a huge issue. This is from my experience and from what I have seen over the years. Obviously, there's more experienced people than me who've seen more and have seen certain things at a much deeper level. So what I'm saying is not gospel. It's not like the final word. This is just from what I have seen. So for me, it depends on the different sports. It depends on what sports you're talking about. On a cricket level, we have a system that's there. The systems are there for players to go from school, primary school to high school, to professional teams, or now varsity, then professional teams. So the system you corner pan. In rugby, same thing. Primary school, high school, and then a high school. 18 as a youth week rugby zibakhona around the country, Craven Week, Grand Como Week, zibuyile ngoku after miswe COVID. So after school, you represent your province, and then you get picked for your provincial team. You play against all these other provincial teams, play age group under 16 or under 18, whatever, and then from there, the first team or even your second team or your third team, as Jaji showed, and you get offers from professional teams, academies, and then go from there. We can go professional team if you're good enough, and then you make it for the Springboks. Or you graduate a high school, we get a varsity, we get a varsity cup or varsity shield, and then babone payana. We have professional teams, we have Springboks. So the systems are there. There are some sports which are at a much higher level in terms of their systems and their development than others. And Ezo sport, they're the ones that are doing much better than Izzy.
Yeah.
Such as rugby, for instance. Rugby, one can argue and say that rugby is the best performing sport up at SA on a national team level, because we are the world champions after all. That's the highest you could get.
Yes.
We've never won a World Cup with cricket. We've never won a World Cup with soccer, and we are not going to win one anytime soon, for that matter. I can even go as far as to say that now we might die never having seen Bafana lift the World Cup. That's how bad it is.
That's hectic.
So the thing is with the sports alaba is that ziyashiyana in terms of which ones are well developed and have great systems, and which are the direct opposite. And people like to isolate izinto when it comes to sports. Thing is, sports in a country on a professional level, even on a grassroots level, are a reflection of what's happening in the country itself. So sports do not happen in a bubble. What's happening in South Africa directly affects what's happening on amateur sports, semi-professional, professional, and international sports or national sports. It directly affects it. If you remember, Joma's Foodie journalism, in political reporting, we were taught that nothing happens in a bubble. No, everything is connected when it comes to politics. It's the same thing. It's literally exactly the same thing. Everything that's happening in SA directly affects sports. It's just that some sports can better handle it than others. When it comes to football, for instance, the issue is not just the lack of talent, because quite frankly, players are laba. They are not talented when it comes to, okay, let me not say they're not talented. They're not, it's what Hugo Bros was saying. Their quality is not good enough to compete with the top international teams. They can compete up SA among themselves. They can compete up Southern Africa with the Zimbabweans and Namibias and the Botswanas and the Lesothos. They can compete with them, and to a very large degree, Singapore. So on the Southern African region, we can say that we are one of the best upper. But the further up you go in the continent, we're not that good compared to Ghana, or Nigeria, or Morocco, Algeria. We're not that good, or Ivory Coast, that was the last one I was thinking of. We're not that good compared to them because their players are better quality. But people ask themselves, so how does this happen? The thing is, that's why I said everything that's happening in South Africa is a direct reflection, directly affects what's happening on the sporting front. We are learning now with each passing day that there's more and more issues with SA football. We're learning now that national team coaches on an age group level, under 17, under 20, under 23, ababadal. Exactly. Well, this is what Hugo Bros is saying. We're learning these things as each day passes. We're learning that is School of Excellence is a thing of the past. We're learning that age group tournaments that used to be there back in the day are circle. So it's like SA football is being killed slowly but surely. But abantu who are responsible to make sure that this doesn't happen are being the next. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, like, because there's so much happening in the country that it's hard to sustain as a New Zealand. But there's also the issue of corruption as well. You need to ask yourselves, how are these people benefiting from SA football dying a slow death this way? I'm not saying they're corrupt, but I'm just asking the question. If you can see how bad our national team is, do you not think to yourself, there's a problem down there? If you see, there's a problem, why are you not fixing it? South Africa has been bad, has not been bad. South Africa has declined so much over the past decade, since 2010, even before that. We've declined so much. Why it needs to be fixed? Why is it happening? Do you know what I mean? So, but now also, it's hard for some of the, now I'm going to shift to the clubs. It's hard for some of the clubs to also make money in needs because fans are not going to the stadiums in numbers. But it's also hard for fans to go to the stadiums in numbers because, hey, unemployment is very high. Unemployment among young people, if I'm not mistaken, is about 60%. And the overall unemployment in SA is over 30%. Last I checked, I could be wrong. So, Amanda Bagwas wear stadiums consistently or even at all because people can't buy club merchandise in numbers because akomali. Do you know? I want to go URC final. I remember I asked in a press conferences or I asked to Jake White, but with these semifinals, we saw huge numbers at the stadiums, unlike before, where it was people were not going to the stadiums. Isn't this a lesson now for SA teams that, well, on the rugby anyway, isn't this a lesson now for SA teams that fans will come back if you start winning? Why woman? I don't know, but I almost say we need to start winning. If we win, they'll come back. I want to the issues are not as vast as this. But if you go down to club rugby, amateur rugby, you might find these issues. I don't know. So I'm just saying it's very hard up in Southern because there's just so much going on. You know, high fuel prices, high food prices, high amount of crime.
Not a laughing matter.
Yeah, because you know, there's Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. Abanye abantu bona, they can't, they don't want to, they don't have money to take taxes mhlawumbe. If there was no, I'm saying this, if there was no crime, literally people would just walk to the stadium because of an hour of anything happening. If there was no crime in South Africa, things will change in such a big way. A lot of the things that are held back in the country is because of crime. It was names. So South Africa is literally dying a slow death. That's what I see. That's aside from the sport, but also in the sport in general. So your himself that is affecting even the sports sector.
That's pretty hectic because now you're also kind of like bringing another perspective, because in most cases we're always blaming those who are in the front line, which is in this case, then it will be players and the coaches and everything, but not kind of like look back into something and the guy behind the scenes. But now you bringing this kind of perspective, it kind of like opens our eyes into, let's not look only at anyone, but also try to look at SMEs that are contributing to where we are today in terms of sports stage. But now I want to know more, because this kind of like brings me to my last question. But what can we expect from your career-wise, right? From your career, right? In terms of sport, because I think that's where your love is rooted, sport-wise. Are we kind of like expecting you to see you maybe one day being a sports commentator, not just a sport presenter, but like commentator, like you know, exactly that. What do you expect from Sanele Nongauza?
So, in general, I'm a multifaceted person. I don't want to say multi-talented because but I'm a multifaceted person. Right? I'm able to do more than just one thing. So aside from working in radio, I'm also an MC, right? And also I do on-field commentary. I've done on-field commentary before, like so with all those things in mind, when it comes to this career thing, my ultimate goal, for myself, this is when I'll be able to say that, okay, I've made it. I don't just want to be on radio, but I also want to be on TV. I also want to be a sports presenter on TV. I want to sit during a sports show, whether it be football, rugby, or athletics, or maybe even other sports. Klalapa and anchor the conversation. Even him over here and busy panelists go and then I facilitate the conversation as we're building up to a game, or even on a day like this where we won't be in the studio, we'll be at the stadium by Nekapa, see on the sides, petty microphones, camera, talking about the game. That's the ultimate goal for me. That's how I'll know that I've made it. I want to be able to do radio and that. I want to be a person who about. Sanele is on this station, is also on this channel. One thing I would love to happen for me now, for this year, is Joma is my World Cup. Yes, soccer. It's a FIFA World Cup. Go November.
Yeah.
November, December. I would love to be working in the television space for that World Cup.
Yeah.
Not just behind the scenes, but in front of the screen as well. That's something I would love to happen. Whether that's up SA or that's even international for that matter, I don't care. But I want to be, I want to be a part of it. I don't just, not that radio is not something that I like doing. It is. But I feel like for an event like that, I get excited for this kind of thing because I know how I feel when every World Cup comes around. I know the conversations I want to have when every World Cup is playing. I know where I would like to be when every World Cup is playing. And it's not just on radio, but also on TV. So that's my ultimate goal, to be a sports presenter, a sports anchor, and a commentator actually during live games at TV. Yeah, well. So that's how I'll know that I have made it. Because some sports presenters, some commentators, they get invited to his World Cup, to these big events, to come there and work there internationally. That's what I want to do. That's something I want to do. I want to travel the world as well. I want to leave SA, Doboni China, Doboni Japan, Doboni Europe, Doboni USA, Doboni South America, Doboni New Zealand. Not sure about Australia, but I want to go to I've seen the animals in Australia, Shem. I'm quite sure. So I want to go to these different places and just explore, and even go to different countries up in Africa as well. I want to be well traveled. When you meet these veterans who say, I've been to these different countries, it makes you think, but you know what, it is possible because who've been to these different countries. So that's the ultimate goal for me. That's where I want to see myself. Yeah, but also I MC gigs from time to time. I recently MC'd. There's a guy that I went to high school with, a great friend of mine. He asked me to be the MC at Umchato Nwake. So I recently MC'd Umchato Nwake, and I might be MCing another friend's wedding later on this year. I think they're still deciding if my phone is now or not. So I do MCing, I do gigs, and this is basically the life that I live. And it's funny, when I MC'd that wedding, after I was done, I went to match, oh, okay, so you did a good job MCing your friend's wedding. So if you're MCing your friend's wedding, I'm like, guys, calm down. There's a time for these things, man. But to see like your friends getting married, and starting families, these are the things that people are asking about. But it's been 17 years later since you two met, and now you're MCing his actual wedding. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I see myself. But I feel like there's a whole lot more to come, because even you'll see me now and you'll think that, oh, he knows himself. He knows exactly how, what he wants to do and where he wants to go about it. You'll be very surprised to learn that, but there's a whole lot of stuff I'm still figuring out even now. And I can tell you on a personal level that these next 6 months are about to be very, very different. Starting from always this coming Tuesday on the 21st of June, which is a birthday, there's about to be quite a bit of, you'll see. Then let me just put it that way. You'll see.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see that. What advice can you give us to somebody that are trying to understand sport, but we're not understanding sports? We're failing to understand it. Because I feel like, it's just like, wow, me and the ball are saying on a personal
level. Is that you don't like seeing a Amadota have fun without you. That's the thing. And
Different man for agreeing to do this interviews and gracing us with your presence on In Conversations with the Qadikazi. It was quite a very mouthful interview, getting to discover things that I didn't even know about yourself, right? Thank you so very much. I can never thank you enough because guys, in last time it is all because of him. You guys get to know Qadikazi. It is all because of him. I think
you give me too much credit. You give me too much credit.
Because you deserve it, right? You deserve it. I need to give you your flowers. Like a lot of things do happen, guys. Sometimes you speak to Sanele the next day, go to Sanele is normal. And I really just want to give you your flowers. Thank you so very much. Anyway, so that's the end of episode 3 of In Conversations with Qadikazi. Please do engage with me on social media platforms. On Facebook, I am Nosipo Qadikazi Gewuzi. On Instagram, I am Nosipo_Gewuzi. Let us grow a platform, a huge platform of these conversations and getting to know our local heroes.
Local heroes, I know.
Until we meet again on my next episode, it is showing you. I am done. Bye, guys. Bye. Thank you so much.